Welcome, CardBreakerGt. Man, look, first, I want to thank you for your time. Look at those muscles. I'm jealous, man. Thank you for your time, man. We're going to talk about very cool topics that I don't think people don't talk about this enough. You know, about the struggle of being not only a YouTuber, but a YouTuber in general. But I would argue that being a YouTuber, especially if you open stuff, is way harder. We're going to talk about that, people quitting, why, and all that good stuff. But before we do that, though, introduce yourself.
Yeah, of course. Dan, Heart of the Pack, appreciate the invite for the podcast. This is something I've been looking forward to doing for a while now. So it means a lot to come on the channel. For those who don't know, I am CardBreakerGt. Make content on YouTube, stuff on Instagram as well. Mostly pack opening content, collection purchases. Recently started making my own mystery packs and just having a lot of fun with it. Dan, you influenced me a bunch getting into what I do. So very grateful to be where I'm at, and a lot of it is honestly because of you. So keep doing the great work, man. And I'm looking forward to how this conversation goes.
That's awesome, man. That's how I'm really glad to hear that, and I'm glad I can help you in any way. Hopefully, we can help each other on this, because we're both gonna struggle, or both we can have to do with this, both of us.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of which, so first topic, and I think it's like the main one for this interview. It's Yu-Gi-Oh pack opening channels are dying, and that's not even a question. I think that's a fact. But the question is why? Give me your thoughts, your opinions on why are, or if you, well, first of all, do you agree that Yu-Gi-Oh pack openings are dying?
I would say indirectly, yes. It's a great question, honestly, especially with the way Yu-Gi-Oh is going right now. So here we go. You open this can of worms. I'm going to go off on a tangent for probably like 30 minutes here.
Love this.
So in my opinion, it's hard to say if they're like dying. It's more so that I think Yu-Gi-Oh itself is dying, and so I think that's really where it's stemming from, because of everybody is shifting their attention to like other TCGs. So like obviously Pokemon's the biggest one right now. It's going crazy. Dragon Ball, One Piece, Magic, all the other big IPs and TCGs are just blowing up, and there's many reasons why. Their creators actually pay attention a little bit more to what people want, and Konami has this really bad cycle going on right now where they're not making stuff for collectors necessarily, and then they're reprinting everything. They're making some cards like way too exclusive or hard to pull, and so where their main focus is driving the dueling aspect of the game. They're really pushing out a lot of people because the meta is changing every so often. They're short printing a lot of the staples that need to come out, and so people are having to spend $300 to $400 to $500 every so often on new decks, or like they'll ban something specifically. And so like there's a lot going into why I think like just Yu-Gi-Oh in itself is kind of slowly declining. But specifically for pack opening content, it comes down to what's in an upcoming set. So like example, the set that just came out, Duelist Advance, like those boxes typically, I think my pre-order price was like $65 or $67 or something like that a box. On release on TCG Player, they were already at like $50, which is insane. Yep. So like that on its own really hurts the collectible piece, like why it's worth what's worth opening, not worth opening. Whenever they shifted from having Starlights and then QCRs and then started reprinting QCR or Starlights as QCRs, that crushed the collectability piece for Yu-Gi-Oh! Like there is very few reason to open a modern booster box and say like, oh, I'm going to chase this card, and you spend $50 in a box, you might pull a $20, like it was a QCR, but now Starlights. And so there's very little value now to be pulled from Yu-Gi-Oh sets. Very little collectability piece. They're not making anything exclusive. Anything that is exclusive, it's not like really worth it. Like take example, the Gaga Girl that's in Duelist Advance. Like I don't know what the price is right now, but I think it's maybe $20 or $30. And that's just been a theme for the last few sets, where you had like the Silent Magician and the number 107 that came out, was it 2 sets ago or a set ago, where they were exclusive artworks, which was great, but they're oversaturating the market, I think, when it comes to that. And it's just, again, just circles back to like why I think the channels are dying. There's not enough collectability going into it. YouTube's shift on the algorithm going from Yu-Gi-Oh content on pack opening to, I would say, like dueling content is more popular now. And then even doing things like, obviously it's shifting over to other TCGs. There's more people leaving the hobby. So there's less and less people making pack opening content. And most people, like, I don't know how your channel is, but most of us that make content, we look at like the CTR, the click-through rate, and a lot of pack opening content, people just like click through just to see the hit. And it's hard to make them engaging. I know we're gonna like talk about who our top 5 favorite people are later on, but one person I think that does it so well to keep people engaged is Fleek Freak. The games and stuff he does.
Okay.
And that's one thing that like a lot of people, myself included, like it's tough to do. Like if that's not what your skill set is, to keep people engaged, because people's like attention spans are so short now, where like YouTube Shorts and Reels and Instagram and stuff like that do so well because everybody just wants that like really quick in the moment thing or something that's super engaging. And so there's a lot. Like I do think the specifically pack opening channels, if that's something you continue to do, I think it will eventually fade. I can even speak from my personal experience where I noticed a lot of my pack opening content is nowhere near as popular as it used to be. Even as my channel continues to grow, like I'm not some big shot, big timer out there, but if you compare like my mystery pack videos, if you compare my collection purchase videos, if you compare my mail day videos compared to any pack opening one that isn't like a crazy old vintage set, people just aren't watching pack opening content anymore. They're not consuming it at the same rate they were many years ago. Like looking at Pokemon, I think one reason why that has declined so much, like specifically for pack opening content, is there's just too many people doing it. Here, there's too few people doing it, and everybody is mostly switched over to dueling content. Like even Ruxin, the biggest #1 pack opener person on YouTube, he even does dueling content now because it's just not sustainable. Like you can't what I was really getting to earlier on the price point, like you can't continue to drop $60 to $120, if not like 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 times that amount of money to get enough views to generate the revenue to come back. So I know at the end of the day, a lot of the reason why some of us do this isn't strictly for the money, but you can't like for example, some of the booster boxes behind me, where's it over here?
Yep.
So like first edition Storm of Ragnarok, you get first edition Crimson Crisis. Those boxes, I think Storm of Ragnarok's like $400 or $500. Crimson Crisis is around like 800, give or take, around there. Like unless you're loaded and have a ton of money, you can't willy-nilly afford to just be ripping those boxes casually. And a lot of times the ad revenue doesn't even make up for it. I don't really know, obviously, like what Ruxin and other big namers make when they do a pack opening video, but if just strictly comparison to the views, you don't make that money back, and so you're just bleeding money, and so you just have to get more creative. Like again, myself included, I've had to start doing like little things to shift what I do to try and get different audience interested or see what people like. Like I did a brief stint of Master Duel content, and that did fairly well. Like it was new to my channel, so I didn't have as many views, but it didn't cost much. I'm not spending money other than I might buy some gems every so often, but I'm not spending $100 on a booster box to one, pull nothing. You could spend $100, get nothing, get $5 or $20 worth of cards, and then the views just aren't there because people just aren't watching that type of content. So I am curious too, like what your opinion is, if you want to share some. I kind of just talked about a bunch, but if you want to share any bits of information,
Yeah, I
too,
mean,
I'm kind of
I
curious
can
to see
share
where you're
some. What you just said, I mean, you said it perfectly. You talk about Yu-Gi-Oh in general is dying, which it's gonna go through the Yu-Gi-Oh channel openings, or obviously, right? But yeah, that's a really good point. The YouTube algorithm you mentioned. Uh, tell me more about the YouTube algorithm. What do you mean by that?
at.
Like exactly, like if you can explain it, how?
Yeah, and in my mind, I think a lot of it has to do, kind of like what I was touching on, is what content is truly engaging. Because in today's day and age, like unfortunately, people's attention spans are so short, where people want, like, you see like doom scrolling is a thing, and I'm included in it. Like where I just get there and I get locked in, and I'm just watching reels, YouTube short, whatever. Long form videos, depending on the content, aren't triggering the algorithm as much because they're not as engaging, and because people aren't watching pack opening content because of like most people aren't watching pack opening content because of the type of cards that can be pulled. Unless it's like you're opening like first edition Legend of Blue Eyes, people aren't watching it. People aren't going, oh, I want to see what's in here. Like no, they're going to see what deck they can build for their like upcoming deck. If they're playing like locals or playing in tournaments, like that's more of where in my opinion, at least just from what I've witnessed, that's where YouTube is pushing its algorithm to generate like information from people to see what people are interested in, what people are clicking on, people are actually watching. Because again, it all comes down to like, okay, I have people clicking on my video, but they're only watching 2 or 3% of it. Like they're just rapidly clicking through.
Right.
And so the algorithm's like, okay, people aren't actually enjoying this video. The thumbnail might look great. The title could be phenomenal, but the actual content, it's engaging, but not enough to keep people fully engaged because either A, it's too long, it's not good enough content. Like I know just speaking from experience, like what I personally enjoy to watch, I love watching collection purchases, mail day videos, PSA returns, like just the kind of mystery behind that. And that's where I've kind of shifted a lot of like my personal viewing of on YouTube, because that's where most everybody is getting a lot of their viewership from. And I think honestly, a lot of it comes down to what's popular in other categories, other TCGs. So like Pokemon, for example, like Pokemon is crushing it. And I don't make this obviously this podcast interview about Pokemon, but we have to talk about,
Yes.
the elephant in the room and what's crushing everything. And rightfully so. Like Pokemon IP is just destroying everybody right now. Like the collectible piece, the playability, everything, longevity, getting new people into the hobby. There's just so much. And we can talk about that more in a second. So I know that was more of about the algorithm question, but
you
a
said it
lot of it just
perfectly.
comes down to making engaging content is the issue.
The reason why I asked about the YouTube algorithm, and yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%, man, because a lot of YouTubers, not only YouTubers that I know, but it's out there. The YouTube gurus, they talk about this a lot,
Mhm.
where people or content creators blame it 100% on the YouTube algorithm, not realizing it
Mhm.
might be you. Maybe
Yeah.
your videos suck. Maybe they're boring.
Mhm.
Maybe they're not engaging, like you said. And I did a little bit of research, and I want to know what percentage of a average YouTuber quits. And according to YouTube, it's between 90 and 97% of content creators quit. That's
Wow.
that's and so they named the one, two, three. They named the top 5 reasons. Number one is
Mhm.
difficulty in achieving monetization and earnings,
Mhm.
which makes sense. For you
Yeah.
to make a living, you have to have hundreds of thousands of subscribers and tons of views. Otherwise, it's
Mhm.
change. Number two, it's challenges with the YouTube algorithm. You know. Number
Mhm.
three is creator burnout, which is actually a really good one.
Yeah.
Loss of passion or shift in priorities. That makes sense. And the last
Mhm.
one's very interesting to me. It says harassment and negativity. I guess people don't.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get a lot of negative, I can see that bothering you and just
Mhm.
quitting, which to me it doesn't make sense. But I can see it,
Mhm.
especially if you have like channel that's very controversial and stuff like that. But for us YouTubers, you
Mhm.
get one or two haters, which happens. I don't know
Oh,
if you had
yeah.
those,
All the time.
but that's no big deal. But yeah, the YouTube algorithm is very interesting because when I went, like for example, on Roxanne channel, you notice on his
Mhm.
openings, he gets a lot less views than on the uh when he plays the
Yeah.
what's it called,
The like Master Duel.
Master Duels, right. He gets a lot more views. So I'm
Mhm.
like, what the things that he opens, most of them, maybe not all, but most of the videos are ridiculous, very expensive,
Mhm.
unique, boxes, and yet he struggles. So I'm like, why? He's like the number one by far right now. And
Mhm.
every time I see his videos, if I'm being, like 100% honest, his videos are just normal when it comes to like
Mhm.
editing. Like whoever does his editing is just a price tag on the corner, normal.
Mhm.
There's nothing crazy going on, and I think that's what's happening. If he
Mhm.
would spend a lot more time or more money, I guess. I mean, I don't know his financial, but so when I go into the Pokemon channels, I did a little bit of research too, just for this topic. There's a lot, like you said, a lot of channels, but most of them gets 10 views, 100 views, 50 views,
Mhm.
157, and then some gets like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. And the first thing I see,
Mhm.
I click on one of those that gets like 50 views, 100 views, and the same thing. Very boring.
Mhm.
The intro, it's just ridiculous. Hey guys, today I'm opening, and they just one camera. you know, and then I click on the ones that have 50,000 views, you know, 20,000, and the quality, the production, it's ridiculous. It's just day and night. And I think that's what's happening with us. One, yeah, you're right. Yu-Gi-Oh! It is dying overall. It's not as popular, unfortunately. Hopefully, it does get popular in the future. But and then us, same thing with us. You know, it's repetitive. You know, we open a box, we get the same packs. You know, people just like exactly like you said, man. You just move forward or skip to the pools. We got what I call a TikTok brain. We just want to see the pools and just quickly. So yeah, I mean, I'm with the algorithm. You know, YouTube's dying overall. Now the second question, it's what are you gonna do different? So let me before I jump into that question, I always look at the subscriber and view ratio. Okay, and in your case, I think you're doing phenomenal. I'm sure you want to do better. Obviously, we all don't. We all want to do but you have almost 5,000 subscribers, right? Like 4.7 or something like that.
Yeah, just about 4.7.
Yeah, and you always get between 500 and 2,000 on average, right? Views. Which, if you think about that, that's a good amount of views for your subscriber count.
Yeah.
So my thing is, how do we go to the next step? How do we get 10,000 views every single video? Like, what are we supposed to do? Like, your thumbnails are on top notch. Your titles are great. Your quality of your videos are like your quality when it comes to your mic, your video, your quality of video. It's actually great. What can we do to get to the other? What is it? Is it just we just had to deal with it and just wait until Yu-Gi-Oh gets popular, and that's how maybe like? What are your thoughts about that, man? What are you what are you gonna do about it to go to that next level? What is it?
That's a tough one. One, I appreciate the kind words for sure. I've worked pretty hard to get where I'm at, and I never take credit for it because I couldn't do what I do, and I'm sure you feel the same way. I couldn't do what I do without the people who support the content, they watch it, they like the channel members, the people that buy into stuff. Like, I know this sounds all mushy gushy and stuff, but it really is because of the people. Like that's what drives us. It is.
Yes.
So sidebar, shout out to all of you that watch our content. So we all love you very much. But as far as like the making the content more engaging, just kind of like what you were talking about, watching other TCGs and seeing what's working, what's not working. I don't see many, like what Pokemon creators do well when I see their pack opening stuff. At least for me, and this is one thing that I actually see that you do well whenever you do it this style, and then Ruxin does it on the occasion. I personally, and this is gonna be a personal thing, but I noticed that one, I like the videos more, and then also the views are usually higher for these type of videos. So it's like, okay. An example could be spending $100 at Walmart, can I profit? Just as a very generic title.
Yes.
But it's I'm gonna walk into Walmart. You have the camera view saying, hey, I'm gonna be buying this. Walking in, looking at the pack selection, yada yada yada, seeing what's there, and then kind of doing a breakdown of like, okay, this is what we spent, this is what we can profit, or what we lost, something like that. And so like that type of content I think is engaging, or even just going to your local game store. I like when you do the whatnot thing where I spent X amount on whatnot.
Yeah.
What did we get, or what did I profit, or whatnot. Like, I think that's great. Like, in my opinion, that's one of the more engaging pieces of content that I've consumed and just what I viewed for Yu-Gi-Oh, but also Pokemon. I think they do that really well. But I really, honestly, what it comes down to, like for modern sets, I don't think things are going to trend significantly upwards, no matter what you do as far as like the engagement goes for the content, until Konami gets things better for collectors and better for players. And this is kind of off of a little sidebar tangent here, but other TCGs do such a phenomenal job at making things where there's chase-worthy cards in the sets, or in various sets, and then there's limited cards. I know there's kind of a very back and forth hot topic of serialized cards. I think it's a great thing. We can talk about this too later on if you want, but I think that's something that other TCGs do really well. Obviously, Pokemon hasn't got to that level yet, but until Yu-Gi-Oh can figure out a way to keep collectability high for modern sets, it's not going to go anywhere. Like, if you look at the last couple of years, the only sets that have performed well have been the Rarity Collection, not really Rarity Collection 2, because that one was just way overpriced for what it was. But Bonanza, phenomenal. Why did it do well? Because of the quarter century secret rares. Like you've got Terminal Revenge that did very well. The Battles of Legend because of the Magia. Magia is a staple in the game. It was only as a QCR, so that made things highly collectible for that card. And so the booster boxes they just keep going up. Now, here's the unfortunate side of it, when Konami eventually reprints that QCR as a Starlight, then that box might come back down some because of that. But truly, I think that the reason what will help channels get to that next level is when content itself is more engaging and better for consumers, being unbiased to the engagement that you're putting into the video. And I do agree. Like if I pull up somebody's channel for the first time and it's just the pack camera, like I've got to really, really love what they're talking about or whatnot to appreciate that video. Like whenever I click on somebody's channel, I click on that channel for them. I click on it for whoever that is. And so I know obviously there's a lot of stuff when it comes to being comfortable on camera and visual appearance and all this stuff, but I want to see who I'm talking to. I want to see that face behind the camera, and I want to see their excitement. I want to see their disappointment. All that stuff. It's emotions, and us as humans, we react off of emotions. And the people who make pack opening content and they don't do that, they're really hurting themselves. Right. So that's really where things just need to get better. There's little things that I'm going to try and start doing to sort of spice up like my content. I have a couple ideas, but more so what it comes down to is, like I talked about you the other day on your Whatnot stream, is I myself want to start doing dueling content because that's just where the engagement is going. That's what consumers like to see, because Konami is failing collectors and they're failing duelists. But Yu-Gi-Oh is still playable enough, at least, where people like to watch content, but they also really like to watch GOAT format, Edison format, whatever the other various ones, redo format, because the formats are simple. It's easy for people to get into. It's very newbie friendly, so somebody can pick it up and not have to spend a whole entire afternoon or a week's long time trying to learn the game. It's older, more nostalgic formats, but it's a much slower pace, where a lot of other TCGs, that's how they are. Like I think the only other one, I think Magic has a little bit more complexity to it, but Pokemon, Dragon Ball, the new Gundam TCG that's coming out, Digimon, all of that, like they're all very easy to play. And I say the term easy like loosely because I don't play them, but from what I've heard from everybody who's played every other TCG, they routinely say Yu-Gi-Oh is far more difficult to play. It's more expensive, it's more difficult, there's more barriers to entry. You have to have a meta deck and meta staples or you're screwed. You're not going to have a good time. And so that's why I think that the older format content is doing so well. And so that's what I'm going to start doing. I'd love to be able to collab with you or other creators on making dueling content, because one, that's what I enjoy. Like I've been personally enjoying a lot of that content lately. It's fun. I watch more of Ruxin's dueling content than I do his pack opening videos, because I don't get as much joy in modern formats right now. It's not like I'm a collector at the end of the day. I don't play the game very much. And so I personally enjoy like whenever I see somebody open an expensive set or something exclusive or rare, I'll watch that. But when it comes to something that's engaging, like I'll go watch you act like an idiot for 30 minutes, like dueling somebody because you limited yourself for different various reasons. And it's just funny. Like, I think that's what it comes down to, is like pack opening content just isn't like funny per se. It's not as emotionally engaging unless you like pull the biggest card or whatever. It doesn't really drive the same emotions that a lot of us want from content.
Yeah, man. Again, I'm with you. And yes, I keep saying this for like a past year, man, that I might be making content about dueling, and it just never happens. So it's always something else, life, this and that, and
Today's the day. We're planning it after this.
And I'm definitely gotta do that. I'm gonna start with your channel just as a noob, just as a startup. But I used to play back in the day, so I'm fairly familiar and when it comes to like the goal format. So I'm not like a complete noob, but overall, when it comes to the actual game, I was like, I'm sure I'm gonna get it fast, right? But yeah, that's something we're gonna be doing together, and hopefully I can do that on the side also, like just regular videos, maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks or whatever. But yeah, that's a good point. So I mentioned earlier, man, about 90 to 97% of YouTubers quit, right? And the reason why I mentioned that quickly, I want to ask you, but before I ask you this very uh I don't know what word to use, but very well, it's just a question. But before I ask you that question,
Mhm.
4 or 5 years ago we started, right? We started our
Mhm.
channel, and if you don't remember, there's so many of our group that started with us together. Most of these
Yeah.
guys are gone. I haven't
Yeah.
heard of them. On top of my head, there's at least 7 that we used to collab all the time. They used to,
Mhm.
pack openings almost every day. Now you can see the only YouTubers or YouTubers I can think of are you, still around, Gigi Vision, myself. I can't think of anybody else that we started together or
Mhm.
around the same time and still keep our YouTube. And so I want to ask you, in any of your 4 or 5 years you'll be doing Yugi or YouTubing, have you actually thought about quitting or something close to that? And
Um,
if you have,
Go ahead.
what made you realize, no, you know what? Let me keep going. I want to hear your experience.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Because there have been a lot of people that have fallen off, and I think it. To answer your question first, I will say like it's maybe crossed my mind like once or twice, but I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like, this might sound kind of like bro-ish or whatever, but like whenever I put my mind to something, like I'm gonna achieve it, and so um I understand that it's a very like insensitive way to say that because obviously there's many things that go into why people quit. But for me, like I'm like, okay, I'm going to start this. This is a very passionate portion of my life, and I want to see it through. Like I've actually talked with my wife about this before because she's actually asked me like, how far are you going to do this until you possibly quit? I'm like, I don't know. Like I don't
Mm,
see that. Like that's not in my vision at all. Is like there's ever a time where I have to quit. And I think what it comes down to is obviously you and I've done this for about 4 to 5 years, and you just have to find like what works for you, what doesn't work. And not to get too circled back into what we were talking about, but you just have to realize like what's realistic and what's not realistic. So for me, you may have seen like the last maybe like for my channel, the last maybe 6 or so months has been kind of funky. Like I had a lot of like personal things going on. Like I was on a medical leave through my work for a little while just due to an injury, and so I was home. I was making more content, but there was a time like when things were rough for me in my personal life, and so I wasn't uploading as much content. But I was also being transparent with my people too, like in that community, letting them know like, hey, this is going on. Like, sorry for the delay, like or whatever's going on. I'm gonna try and update them the best I can because I cared about the community. And I'm not in any way saying people don't care about them. It's how people handle what they're working on is different, and what's going on in their personal life is different. Like some people
right.
either can't handle the stress, people can't handle the financial part of it. They may be a little bit irresponsible, which like again is kind of a sensitive subject, but because everybody's a little bit different, like for what's going on in their personal finances, relationships, family. And I would never bash anybody for quitting and doing things better for themselves. I think it's just being realistic. And so like there's been times where I have certainly overspent on whether it's collections, it's box openings, it's whatever, and then you kind of just have to balance it out. And so I had a goal initially. I'm like, okay, I'm going to upload 3 videos a week, and that's like at a minimum to make sure my channel continues to grow.
Yeah.
But then the last, maybe however often it's been, like sometimes like when I'm busy, and I'd be transparent, let people know it's like, hey, haven't been able to get things up, whatever's going on, this is the reason why, or various things. But you can't let, how do I want to phrase this, you have to focus on yourself. Like one thing with people in this hobby and collectible pieces is they're impressing others and instead of themselves. And
Right.
so I mean that where people are buying like countless things, like they're buying stuff beyond their financial means or realistic means to impress others and not satisfying what they care about. And so like I had to take a step back and realize like, okay, I can't afford to be buying all these expensive booster boxes. So that's like one reason why I do box breaks. Like people have asked me like, oh well, the content isn't as cool because it's not you opening it for yourself. It's like I can't afford to open $2,000 booster boxes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
people enjoy that stuff. And so I like doing booster boxes for that reason. One, I get to open the booster box, and then really that's not even the number one reason. That's number two. The number one reason is there's so many people out there that are, this is a little sidebar, so many people out there that are like scammers, or they weigh their packs, or they scale their packs, or they search them and they sell off the packs that don't have hits, and then people get scammed. And I know that you're the same way. You don't want people to feel that way when they purchase a product, in general, but especially from you, like mystery packs, box breaks. Like, I want to give people a fair chance at getting stuff for a good price, and then also from a trusted source, knowing that I'm not going to scam you. And so that's a little sidebar on like why I do box breaks. But the second reason, obviously, is for the content. One, I love opening expensive booster boxes. Who doesn't? And then two, it is good for YouTube. Those tend to get more views than a general, modern booster box, depending on the set. So like it is tough. Like there have been times where I've just kind of come to with, okay, I can't afford to open all these boxes all the time, and I have to be realistic. And that's also why I buy collections often too. Like collection buying and creating content is like one of my favorite things, because I buy a collection, I get a video out of it, I make content that people enjoy. I also enjoy watching it myself. And then, sometimes if I break even when selling that collection, that's fine. I just I made a video for nothing. It didn't cost me anything. And like, yes, there was an initial cost, but if I can sell the cards that I got from that collection for the same thing I paid, that's a win.
Yep.
If I lose a little bit, that's fine. But then a lot of times, like when I buy a collection, I get to keep stuff from it. And so like my collection grows that way. And so it's at the end of the day, I will say, like, there has been times where I've thought about it, but you just have to get creative and have to be realistic for what's going on in your current situation. So like, obviously, if you have other things going on, it is really difficult. Like I don't have kids. And so I know people that have kids, like, obviously you have to dedicate that time for them to be a parent, that's number one priority.
Yep.
So I can empathize, but I can't exactly relate because I don't have kids with that. So there's people that have quit because of family commitments or various things, and I 100% respect that. There's nothing against people taking care of themselves and their family and their future. But you just have to be responsible. You have to realize the situation you're in, and then just think outside the box. Like, that's why, like, early this year I started to do Master Duel content, even though I don't know modern format, don't like modern format. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to try it and see if it sticks.
Yeah.
I have learned that I do not like modern format at all. And so that's honestly why I haven't made those videos. Now, it's something I might circle back in the future, because that's what's engaging.
Right.
But it opened up the door for me to want to do GOAT format, like all the older formats, because that's fun. That's nostalgia for me. At the end of the day, I'm 31. Most of us that collect Yu-Gi-Oh nowadays, they're in their early 30s, mid 30s, early 40s, because we were kids growing up collecting the TCG, and when things were simple, same things were nostalgic, blue eyes white dragon decks, like all different things, elemental heroes, all various archetypes and support like that is fun to see. Not this crazy stuff where you have somebody that spends 20 minutes on one turn just for you to lose. So I know it's kind of a lot of information. I always have a lot to share when it comes to this, because like there's sometimes
how you said it was so great.
Well, no, I appreciate that. But it's just what it comes down to, man. You have to be realistic. You have to be responsible. Know when to say no, know when to say yes, and just be okay with that. Focus on yourself, but not at a point where you're selfish, if that makes sense.
Right.
So that again just circles back to just understanding your situations and not trying to impress others. I think that's where a lot of people get roped up in just life, like myself included. I'm still like maturing past that part. Like, I think I've kind of since moved past that for some things, or I guess, I'm not perfect, but it's realizing like, okay, I am me. I'm going to focus on what I want, not what I think I want because others want it or they have it. And so I want to be, quote unquote, the cool kid in school, just like them, And so that's where a lot of people kind of fail is not everybody lives the same life. Not everybody is dealt the same hand. And you have to make the best of it. So
this is what we're gonna do, man. In I want to say 6 months or so, we're gonna come back, do another interview. You're gonna see how much we grew. Hopefully, we do grow a lot,
love
or
that,
at least a little. And we're gonna see what different, what did we do different, and what worked and what didn't work. So I'm gonna share something with you quickly that I'm planning to do myself and see how this works out. But one of the things I noticed, the daily uploads, or at least frequent uploads, they're great, but also there are pros and cons to this. I noticed. And one of the things I'm gonna start doing, one, to save money, obviously, But number
Yep.
two, it's the mentality of uploading just for the sake of uploading. I think it's bad overall, man. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you open right now a Duelist Advanced box, you got Mr. Beast thumbnail, you got Mr. Beast title, you got Mr. Beast, quality of video. You're not gonna get that many views. I don't
Yeah.
care how good you are. It's not. So what I'm gonna do about this is upload less. But every time I upload something, it's gonna be something unique, something great, either new product or either like your 3,000 plus collection. That's great, something like that. But I'm gonna stay away from just opening a box just for the sake of I need to upload just so my channel keep the algorithm keep. I don't believe in that, at least not right now. Something I'm gonna do maybe
Mm-hmm.
once a week, twice a week, but it's gonna be something that I know it could be engaging.
Yeah.
That's something that
If
I must stay away from just uploading just for the sake of uploading. If that makes sense.
yeah, and if I may, I'm with you 100% there, because I, even myself included, I get roped into that. Okay, I need to
Yep.
keep the algorithm healthy because everybody says uploading daily. At the end of the day, it's a double edged sword, because like if you upload daily, people know to expect your video. But at the same time, if you upload every single day, they're like, oh, I'm just going to catch the next one, or I can go back and watch this one, or I can skip this one today and then watch this one later on. And sometimes they don't go back and watch that video. And so, like you said, making content that's like truly engaging or truly special. I've actually felt better performance. It was actually Battleface. So Dan asked me this question
Yeah.
months ago, because he was kind of picking my brain one day. He's like, how my channel grew, and I told him, I said, initially, well, I would upload either Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday every day. Initially it was 9 a.m. And then I switched it to like 11 a.m. And so I was doing that consistently. And then I got to a point where I was just, I just got a new job. This was before I left my other job. And my schedule was all out of whack. I was staying up way past my, the time I should have been, to edit a video and get it up at 9 a.m. Like I'd stay up until 4 a.m. sometimes to make sure I had a video ready by 9 a.m. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, what? Like at the end of the day, like, yes, I understand getting the content out there is important, but I realize I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this. So what I've just started doing is uploading. It is kind of sporadic, but I do try and stick to like the earlier hours, so between 9 and 11 a.m. But
Yeah.
there's, I might upload a video at 9 a.m., 8:30, 10, 10:15, 10:52, like
Yeah.
random times, and I noticed no difference. Like, I mean, if anything, I noticed
Right.
my content went up more because of that. And it's because that sporadicness that, oh man, Cardbreaker just dropped a video, or Heart of the Pack just dropped a video. But the double-edged sword side of it is, one, I think it's important, depending on the channel you have, to have consistent uploads where it's like, okay, I'm going to every day this week, it's going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That way people know to tune into your channel. But with what we do, it's almost impossible to do that, because like, I'm just going to say it like it is. Mr. Heart of the Pack be backdooring products and opening stuff before he should. And so
Hey, man, that's the
he
only
gets
way.
them. I know
Well,
he gets them
not
early views.
that's not the
But
only
no,
way,
like
but yeah.
I know I'm just giving you some crap about it. But like that's one big thing about the TCG is you have to be the first person, or for the first one of the first few to upload an
Yes.
opening video to get those views. Because once people see it, they're not going to watch another one a lot of the time. And
Right.
so,
Right.
like, kudos to you, man. I don't know what magic you're pulling, but you're dwelling in the shadow realm. I think, and dealing with some dark magic there to be able to do what you do. But it's working. So that is one thing that is very successful for the TCG. But yeah, I'm with you on that. Kind of having more higher quality content. I haven't quite figured that out yet. Like I mentioned earlier when I was chatting, I think Fleek Freak does it the best when it comes to having engaging content.
Yeah.
Like his games he does in some of his videos. I remember when he first started out, I'm like, this guy is going to be the fastest person to hit 100K subs, if he can be consistent. Like I know he's very busy with what he does in his personal life. I won't share any of his info, but
Right. Right. Yeah.
he man, I'm just like, if he can stay consistent and get stuff uploaded all the time, like even if you're uploading modern box openings, the stuff that he does, which by the way, if you guys don't know who Fleek Freak is, go check him out. Like this is a shameless plug to him because he's freaking awesome.
Yep.
But his content is just so engaging. And so me included, I need to figure out a way to be as engaging as he is. But yeah, I'm with you there. Less is more. I preach this like when I've done personal training and people ask me questions on working out. They're like, "Oh, should I do this?" I'm like, less is more. Quality over quantity when it comes to content, or just anything in life, but especially content. So,
Yep. Yeah, man, I'm with you. Speaking of quickly, yeah, man. I mean, he spends. I'm pretty sure he pays good money for his video editor because
mhm.
it's very high quality. One thing I
Yeah.
would do if I was him though is you need that face cam.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
he's
do
like
wish I wanna see the man behind the
yeah
camera.
I think he might not be comfortable showing his face, maybe, which
Mhm.
I completely understand. But yeah, this time he has to do this, man. And I'm with you, man. He could grow so quick. And you mentioned about opening early, and that's like a cheat code.
Yeah,
A cheat code because you're gonna get
literally.
views regardless of your quality. It doesn't matter. You're gonna get a lot of views, but there's pros and cons to that too. By the way, you get a
Mhm.
lot of views, but like you mentioned, they only view those videos. They don't care about your other stuff, which sucks.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah, you do get new viewers. The very small percentage of those viewers will come back. Most of them will not. So there's pros and cons.
Mhm.
But you want to upload video or upload on YouTube, so people want to watch you most importantly, rather than
Mhm.
just what. So yeah, that's what one of the bad things and good things, I guess. But yeah, man, good talk, man. So yeah, like I said, 6 months from now or so, I'm gonna come back to you. We're gonna talk. Let's see how much we grew. Let's see. I want to see what you did different, what worked, what
Mhm.
didn't work. One of the things that people, if you watch it right now, should expect more dueling content. Between
Mhm.
me and Cardbreaker, maybe me on my own, also all the people. But for sure, we're gonna
Mhm.
do that very, very soon. Hopefully this week, actually. I want to say something, mention something quickly though that I noticed also about the YouTube algorithm, and this will be the last topic. And then I want to hear your top five favorite YouTubers and why. But one of the things I noticed also, old school YouTuber, probably the oldest right now that's still active is Cyber Knight.
Yeah.
Cyber Knight, I forgot the numbers. Is Cyber Knight 92?
8610. I think I just
You
I
know,
know his jingle. Like, I've watched his content. I know his jingle.
oh man,
I think so. I'm pretty sure that's right.
it sounds good. I mean, it sounds right. He's very interesting channel, man, because I do see his videos once in a while. I don't see him too often, if I'm being honest, because again, if you go into his first videos, which is what 10 plus years, maybe 15 years, he's been doing this
Yeah,
like
it's been
say
a
like for
while.
a long time. If you see his videos back then, and if his videos today, you're not gonna see that much difference,
Yeah,
if
same
any
thing.
at all.
Like, it's yeah.
And I think that's so bad.
Mhm.
He's got a lot of subscribers because of when it first started, he's getting like 100,000 of views. I think he's a couple of his videos got millions. I'm pretty sure millions of
Mhm.
views. And now he's just doing the same thing. He doesn't, he for some odd reason I don't know what's going on. He's one of those YouTubers that just I don't think he goes and talk to people that much. I don't see him collab
Mhm.
that much. So, anyways, I want to point that out, man, because he's doing the same thing over and over again. One thing I heard, which is very, very interesting, that Roxen34 mentioned this on his Whatnot, either Whatnot or video. I can't remember, but they asked him. I'm thinking it's Whatnot because it was live. I'm pretty sure. They asked him, "How
Mhm.
come you're not being sponsored by Konami when he's the
Mhm.
right now he's the biggest opening channel right now?" And like that's a good question. I actually applied. I don't know if I told you this before. I applied like 3 years ago
No, that's
to
cool.
Konami. I'm
I
like,
know
hey,
that.
I do content. I'm growing. I got like 1,000 subscribers. Blah blah. And what they told me, they actually replied fairly quickly. They said that all spots are taken. There's no more sponsors openings. That's what they said. Which is true or
Mhm.
not, which kind of makes sense, I guess. They don't want to sponsor like every single person that just opens. Which kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess they want to know you. You curse or you're whatever, right? One of the things that
Yeah.
Roxy34 said that very interesting to me and makes sense going back to Cyber Knight, because if you notice, Cyber Knight never puts prices on his cards, which I think
Yeah.
when it
Hmm.
comes to TCG, you have to pretty
Yeah.
much. People love that, see the price of how much that card you pull. I want to see that personally, but he
Mhm.
never does. And I'm
Yeah.
like, why? It's so simple. Just text,
Mhm.
you know? And what Roxon said that one of the reasons why he's not getting sponsored or may never get sponsored is because they put prices on your videos.
Hmm.
I'm like, really? So
Interesting.
it's like more. I believe. I mean, he didn't go further on this, but what I'm thinking, it's like they don't want to see like gambling. That's what I'm thinking. That's my that's it's gambling. It's prices, money. It's supposed to be
Yeah.
like a kids product, you know. So money should be
Yeah.
involved. That's my guess. I could be wrong about this. So that like, oh, no wonder why Cyber Knight, he is sponsored by Konami for many years. I'm pretty sure, and he never does this. I'm wondering if that's the reason. And if it is,
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth it, man. I don't think it's worth being sponsored by Konami where your quality cannot improve. I don't know. That's just like a thought I had like for a moment. Like, I wonder why he never does this. I don't get it. And he's not growing anymore. He's stayed. He's stable. Again, he only gets a lot of views. Well, he gets a lot of views every single video, but his channel's been around for a lot for many years.
Yeah.
But again, he only gets a lot of views when it comes to the new product, because he does get it early. Other than that, just for the amount of subscribers, like I go back to you, like when I say the subscriber count versus your views, his is way off. He's got 107,000, 180, something like that. He gets a couple thousand. When you personally, like Cardbreaker, has 4,000, almost 5,000, and gets 1,000 plus, that's amazing to me. But yeah, just a quick note. When I put out there that man, you need to improve, and that's a must. Otherwise, you're not gonna grow. I don't care if you do this for 20 years or 50 or 100, you're gonna stay the same. And Cyber Knight, amazing YouTuber, awesome guy. He's not gonna grow if he just keep going same thing over and over again, I guess. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah, and I think that message goes out to everybody.
Everybody, yes.
Just like you said, just if I go back and look at my first video compared to now, I'm just like, whoa, you guys actually watched my content. It blows my mind. I'm like,
Oh,
wow,
man.
it's crazy.
I can relate,
but
I can relate.
man. So it's what's actually funny that you bring this up. So again, much love and respect to Cyber Knight, because he is the OG. He's just like oh god, what's his name? What's his name?
Simply Lucky?
Really Simply Lucky. Yes, yeah, him. So I think the big difference in those two, like Simply Lucky is energetic, he's big energy. Like Cyber Knight's very kind of like calm, collective, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the people, again, today's day and age, the way content is pushed, it's very energetic, it's very emotional, it's very heavy. And not in like a I'm gonna put you down type way. It's more bringing you up, you get your energy going. And it's funny you bring up Cyber Knight too, because I remember like not that long ago, I was looking at his channel versus Ruxin's, opening the same video, opening the same box, the same style video, and he'll get a fraction of the views that Ruxin gets, and it's the same reason why. Like Ruxin is energetic, I think one thing that annoys me so much when it comes to pack opening content is, so you see my camera here, if I can see my camera pointing down looking at the cards, that's like a pet peeve of mine that bugs me so much. And that's one little thing Cyber Knight does, and to me it just feels like a lack of professionalism. And I'm not trying to throw him any shade, I'm just that's my personal take on it. Is like seeing the microphone I think is fine, but being able to see like that type of equipment, and that, again, that's just me, that's very personal opinion. It has a professional look, in my opinion. And so it's one thing I think that he could improve on. And obviously he's gotten where he's at. He's far larger than my channel is at the moment. I'm not going to say ever, because we're going to get there one day.
Oh yeah.
But I think there's things he could improve on. He is who he is. He's going to stay who he is, and so his channel might just stay that way. I remember I've watched a bit of his content. So one thing that I actually enjoy to watch from him is when he buys stuff from Bai, from the international, like Japan and things like that, and does that international like middleman service where he buys a bunch of stuff. Bai consolidates all the packages, they ship them all out into one go. And so I just like that, because I buy and consume a lot of stuff from Bai as well. But he made a comment one time during one of his videos where he's made like either deck building videos or other things, and people didn't enjoy it as much. I haven't watched him long enough to really see the trend, if that's successful or not, or if it's true. But I think he doesn't do it enough to expose his channel to that type of content, if that makes sense. It kind of circles back, like you're saying, you have to, if you want to grow, that's what it comes down to, is if he's trying to grow the way he wants to. I know he does some like personal, I think it's like crafting type thing. I've watched one of his videos before where he has like a whole different setup. Plus, I think he just had a kid not too long ago. I think it's like second or third kid. So he's busy. But if he's content with how he produces his content and content with where he's at, then I think that's fine. I don't know if he's trying to truly push the envelope or not, to grow, but if he had just got to change. But before we get too far ahead, one thing I actually wanted to talk about while you were talking about the sponsorship for Konami.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I don't think they like anybody that's a partner with Konami, they get revenue from those videos, because anybody's video I click on, it skips right to the start where it has the Konami intro, then it goes to the box opening. So I think, again, I could be wrong, but I think because of like the contractual agreements, I don't think you can monetize that video.
Really?
So regardless of the views they get, it all goes back to the sake of this is an early review, early teaser. And then they like Konami essentially is feeding that money to them because they're getting people to pre-order the product. Like if you notice, they don't ever have, hey, buy this product here, like the yada yada yada. It's hey, this is a Konami sponsored video, like, and they don't even say that some of the times. Most of the times they don't. They just go straight into the box opening. And again, I've never seen the contract. I don't know what the legality says in there, what you can or can't say, or what you're allowed to do or not do. But I know Pokemon's the opposite. Like one of the biggest pack openers, Leonhardt, if I'm not mistaken, he's partnered with the Pokemon IP, Pokemon International, and he gets content and he puts prices in his videos. So I just obviously Pokemon, Konami, two totally different IPs and how they handle things. One way isn't better than the other, but I think the weird thing with Konami and how they approach the Yu-Gi-Oh IP is they are too believing that the TCG is for younger audiences when it's not. Like Pokemon pushes the envelope big time and caters towards a younger audience, and they do it the best way. Yu-Gi-Oh, they want to feel like it's for a younger audience, but they don't position the game to be that way. Like they don't make it all cutesy and fun and inviting for kids. They make complex cards. They make waifu, lewd type like art style, which isn't really appropriate for kids. Like if you look at a booster pack, like it says 6+ years. I don't know if the camera will focus, but it says 6+ years down here in the bottom. Like I could just be speaking about me. I don't know many 6-year-olds that can pick up a Yu-Gi-Oh card or a deck and play it effectively to the way it's supposed to be played. There's probably some out there. I'm not going to discredit anybody, but it's tough. Like I'm 31 years old and I can't do it. And I get it. If I put enough time into it, I could probably learn it. But like it's just a 6-year-old can't walk up into Walmart and buy a starter deck and be a professional right away. And like I get it. Everything takes time to learn it. But I think that's I kind of went off on a tangent there with that. But Konami just they need to approach the game in a more professional way and handle it and position it and push it towards like adults or at least like the teenagers, because like you brought up with the gambling thing, whether that's true or not, I think that's silly. Like I don't know if Konami's doing that. Like it's not gambling. It's just maybe they feel bad because their products don't perform as well as they want them to. Like I'm just gonna say it like it is. You spend $50 in a booster box and you pull on release an ultra rare that's 50 cents. Like that's not an us problem on the secondary market. That's a Konami problem from the beginning. And so maybe they don't like the cold hard truth. So and then probably also too, like a lot of the creators, like if you watch some videos like of mine, I regularly bash Konami. I think Ruxin regularly bashes Konami. A lot of the other people, they regularly bash them because we care. Like I'm not going to sit there and suck up to them. I want them to actually pay attention to what people want, what collectors want, what duelists want, all that different stuff. So yeah, there's a lot to it, but I don't even know how to really tie up all that together. It was a lot.
I mean, it is Komani at the end of the day,
Yeah, good old Rocky, Komani.
Rocky does say that. Like, wait, he's correct, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, man. So with that being said, good conversations. Again, we're gonna come back to you in 6 months or so. We see how much we grew. Things we did differently. What worked, what didn't work, and then we have another conversation of what to do better and all that good stuff. But for now, speaking of YugiTubers, I want to see, man. We all want to know what's CardBreakerGt's top 5 YugiTubers and why.
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
Awesome.
Before we get into that, I am actually really looking forward to doing a follow-up 6 months from now. Now, this is going to be an accountability video for us. You know that, right? So we've got to, this week, what are we going to set aside some time? Because I for real, 100,000% want to do it. I'm willing to do it. I will put in the time. I'll separate, whatever time I have to, because again, it comes back to caring about the content, caring about the channel, caring about the community, and wanting to grow. And so I'll make, you know, whatever sacrifices I need to. So let's freaking do the thing,
You and
dude.
me
Let's have
both.
fun.
You and me both.
Let's look stupid on camera because you know, I'm not a professional by any means, but it'll be fun.
Look forward to this, man. So yeah, go ahead. Top
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right. So top 5, and I can't really put any of these like in order. And I know, like, I've obviously watched your other podcast style videos, and the question is like YouTubers. And so what I wanted to talk about with this top 5, there's a reason why my top 5 is the way it is right now, because of everything we talked about earlier in the video, like with the pack opening channels are dying, like the collectability piece is dying because Yu-Gi-Oh and Konami is just not doing a great of a job. And so I think it's my 4 of my top 5 are not really pack opening channels for the most part.
Okay.
And so I do want to say, like, I have one of my numbers in the top 5. There is kind of honorable mentions across the board because these are all pack openers. And so I'm going to put this, like, if I had to put it, it would be number 5, strictly because I don't consume as much pack opening content. So respect to the people that are out there. These, in my opinion, some of the best pack opening channels out there. So one is going to be yourself. You make engaging content. Somebody we've talked about before, Fleek Freak. He's another obviously fantastic person. Ruxin, because he is Ruxin. He does a phenomenal job of tying the community together.
Mm-hmm.
And then Casual Yugi Stuff. If you guys don't know him, Jamie.
Oh yeah.
He's
Yeah.
Great guy, very intelligent, very knowledgeable on the hobby. Strictly, pretty much everybody that I just listed is mostly pack openers for the most part. And so, like, it's hard. I can't really put them in like in my top 5 because I don't really consume it all that much. But those are people that, as far as pack opening content goes, if I had to list out some names, those would be like in a top 5 and in no particular order.
What a great point. I'm gonna call you up just for a second though, because you did mention Kajuki Stuff, and I was gonna talk about him, and I don't know why I didn't, but we can talk about him next time.
Okay.
Because yeah, he's a very good example of what's happening with the opening channels. I can't believe I forgot to mention him. How he's the only one, or not the only one, but one of the few that opens that kind of, you know, product. And yet, you know, he's not doing, well, he's doing great, but not as great as he should have, or he should be, you know. So yeah, I was gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna have him on the podcast, hopefully, talk about all this stuff and about this also. But yeah, shout out to
I love that
stuff, and thank you for mentioning him. Yeah, let's talk about him next time. Very interesting channel, very interesting guy. But great points.
And say the rest of my, I guess you could say, like, top 5. So these are the remaining 4. So the other ones are kind of like all in one. That's just how I have to position it. So no particular order. One of them is actually kind of new. His name is the Shadow Realm. I think it's a Shadow Realm 824. I wrote this down just so I didn't forget it, just in case. Newer content creator, but his style of video I love. Like, very aesthetically pleasing. He's very professional. I think he does like some type of marketing or digital creation. I don't know, but he obviously knows what he's doing. So I'll send you his information, or we can pop up a little thing on the screen so you can see who it is. But he's Australian, great guy, very knowledgeable. He makes all different types of content. He doesn't have very many videos out, but just a great guy. Like, I love his art style, love his content, everything like that. It's very aesthetically pleasing. Another one, he's actually been around for a while. This guy, his name he actually recently, I think, had to change his channel due to some issues with YouTube. But it's the Yugioh Marmelin. So the Yugioh Marmelin. He is a longtime collector. I watched a lot of his content during COVID times because he was just talking about the hobby. There is no face behind the camera, so you don't get that video of who he is, which is unfortunate. But he makes engaging conversations with his videos. So this is one thing, like I mentioned earlier, if you don't have a face camera, your content better be really engaging or I'm not going to watch it. And there's a reason why I've watched this guy for the last 4 or 5 years. Every time they upload a video, if I'm not doing anything, I will watch it right then and there because it's just good. It's good content. He talks about relatable things. He talks about what's going on in the collectability piece, how Konami's doing a good job, bad job, what's good, bad, all that different thing. But big, you know, I don't know how expensive his collection is, but he has some pretty nice cards. So he knows what he's talking about. He's very, very knowledgeable on the hobby.
I'm about to invite him to a podcast one day, hopefully.
Yeah, he doesn't upload often, but again, like when he does, it's good information. He routinely gets a lot of views too on his videos.
I think I know what you're talking about. He's good. Is it thumbnails, like holding it like a ghost rare on his hand, and then on the background there's like his binder?
Yep.
Yeah, I
Yep,
know.
it'll
Okay,
it's
I
the
seen him.
simplest stuff ever.
I seen
Not
him. Yeah,
complex at
yeah,
all. He
yeah.
doesn't edit. He doesn't clip
Okay,
anything. It's just his binder and then whatever card
I
he's
see.
talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's great. Okay.
And then next one, I think this goes without mention, Strictly Sealed.
Mm.
He's just done so much for the hobby. He has really ignited a lot of collectors' hearts, I guess you could say, because like he's made his own products, like as far as his sleeves, his binders. He's made things fun for the collectible piece. He reintroduced the I don't know if let me see if I have an example. I don't think I have an examples near me at the moment, but he brought back, the old back in the day Ultra Pro, like super like sparkly, shiny sleeves
Oh
that are just
yeah,
super cool and super nostalgic.
that's right.
So things like that. But he also he makes crazy content. He's obviously very well off, very wealthy individual, very intelligent. He knows what he's talking about. He's very high end collector. He travels the world. He does all different interview style videos. I mean, I don't need to really introduce him very much to most of you guys. You probably know who he is, but I love his content. He does a phenomenal job at engaging the audience. Very professional videos. He does have people who edit them for him, but it starts with the quality. He's got the money to put into all the good stuff, and so he's got some top notch production. That's for sure. So the fourth person, or the fourth one, and this one again, no particular order. You may or may not know who this is. The bilingual duelist. So he is. I think he lives in Japan. I think he's also lived in Germany for a while, but
Mm.
bilingual because he speaks Japanese and German in English too. But what he does, so he is in a great position because he lives in Japan, so he can travel to all of the Japanese card stores. He does a lot of content where it's mostly OCG. Not everybody collects OCG, but there's so much history when it comes to OCG, and I think that's one big thing that Strictly Sealed does well. Bilingual Duelist does very well, as they touch on the nostalgia piece, the history, what's hot in the OCG Japanese market, and one of my favorite pieces of content to consume are going to different shops, seeing what they have, what they don't have, what's good, what's bad, what's collectible, what's not collectible. So they also do other content like reviewing products or reviewing things. So like one example is the SM51 Blue Eyes. If you don't know what that is, it's the first Ultimate Rare printing.
Oh
Came on the
yes,
OCG. Very
yes.
expensive card. He's done a video covering the different variances in that card. So there's different shades of the background. On like one's more expensive than the other, more elusive and sought after. So he's covered things like that, all different releases, collectible pieces. So like the top four that I mentioned, Shadow Realm, Water Melon, Strictly Sealed, Bilingual Duelist. The reason I consume their content more is kind of circles back to the pack opening things are dying. Like there's not,
Yes.
at the end of the day, at my heart, I'm a collector and I like stuff that's fun to collect. It feels like, I hate to say investments, but like when you buy a card, you want it to feel like, hey, this felt good to buy it. Like I didn't feel like, okay, I'm going to buy this now and it's going to lose all its value in 2 months, and we can talk about this in another video,
Yep.
but
Yep.
the they don't like, they do some pack openings, like Bilingual Duelist has done some, Strictly Sealed has done some, Shadow Realm has done some. They've all done some style pack opening contents, but like I consume their content because of the variety. They do talking point videos like I've done in my videos on the channel here not too long ago. If there's something new that's released, if there's a controversial topic, I'll discuss it. Just getting information out there to the public. And I think that's, this, not to get too back into the weeds what we were talking about, but that's one thing that I enjoy with my channel is just getting my information out there and like what my thoughts are. And I love consuming that content. Like not to throw Pokemon again around too much, but I do watch a lot of Pokemon content that's not
Mm.
pack openings. I don't watch any pack openings unless it's
Mm.
old stuff. And it's more of just like why people collect. I watch people do PSA return videos. I watch people do collection purchases, mail day videos, what they're collecting, what their goals are. And so that's the type of stuff that I'm personally consuming right now because of how down the collectible piece of Yu-Gi-Oh is. Like there's been a few things that have come out over the last couple of years, like the Kyber briefcase, phenomenal
Oh
release
yeah.
by Konami.
Oh yeah.
But that wasn't a set. Like that was a special thing. Like Konami needs to keep doing stuff like that to keep things fun, keep things interesting. But yeah, so those will be my top. Those are my top four, and then that fifth slot, again in no kind of particular order, would be the four others I mentioned. So yourself, Ruxin, Kazuki stuff, and Fleet Freak. If I had to pick some pack openers, like because I do, those are the four main ones that I enjoy
Right.
watching. There's other people too, just not to make this list too long, but
Right. Right.
the moral the moral of the story is I don't consume as much pack opening content for all the reasons why that we talked about earlier. like we're kind of talking about, like 6 months from now, I'm kind of curious
Yeah.
to know if this list would change. Like if Konami figures things out and things magically get better, you know, I might start watching pack opening content again. But I am curious because this has shifted as of the last couple months. Like
Mm,
when things got really bad for the collectability piece and things have started going down and down and down. I just don't watch much pack opening content. The only time I watch pack opening is when it's older stuff, like non-modern.
yeah.
You know, I just because that's what I enjoy. Like if
Right.
somebody's going to open a GX era set, 5Ds,
Yeah.
even Zexal, I'll watch Zexal because you can pull ultimate rares, ghost rares, or like when you open the OTS 28 box, like I watch that because it's tournament pack with the blue eyes. Like I like that type of stuff
Hmm.
because it's like unique. It's not the same thing. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Man,
I am excited for the future,
all
obviously,
right, man.
but I'm
Well,
a little concerned
yeah.
too. I'm concerned.
We'll see what happens 6 months. I mean, nothing but going up for sure, you know. And when it comes
Yeah.
to not only subscribers but enjoyment, that's also very
Yep.
important because you can grow subscriber wise, but if you don't have joy or anything like that, you know, it's just not worth it, right? Kind of
Absolutely.
obvious, but
Yeah. You gotta
we'll see
have
what happens,
fun.
man.
You
I
gotta
want to
connect with
thank you
people.
once again for your time, man. We're gonna see
Of
each
course,
other
happy to be
again. We'll
here,
talk
man.
talk again 6 months or so. We'll see what happens. And talk to you again, man. 6 months. And guys, I'm gonna leave all CardBreakerGt's links in the description. It's Instagram, YouTube, all the good stuff. Go watch them. Go check them out if you haven't already. That is. And thank you, Cardbreaker, once again, man. And I'll see you soon on the dueling arena.
Awesome.
Oh,
Thank you, Dan. Pleasure
all right.
being on here, guys. Much love.
Peace.